New for 96. With your hosts, Kevin McCauley and Chris Nguyen.
Oh, yeah. How the levels. We need to test again. We just recorded an hour. If it's not good now, it's not going to be good.
The buttons with gravity,
Oh, God.
you know?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I clicked on the worst clickbaity thing, and I try to avoid doing that. But there was like an article about.
Was this the Momo challenge?
No, it was about an asteroid that was headed towards Earth.
Oh, good. Thank God.
But it was like I clicked on it. That's what like the person who retweeted is like, oh, thank God, the Earth's about to be, hit by an asteroid.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then I was like, oh, okay, fine. I'll click on because the person who clicked on it was this Olympic athlete that I follow on Twitter, and I was like, that's weird that he's retweeting this, so I'm gonna click on it for no reason. Anyways, so I clicked on it, and big headlines like NASA scientists say asteroid headed towards Earth. It might hit the Earth, but it's likely to be several million miles away. And I was like, well, this was just dumb. That was a waste of several seconds. So I was very upset that
I saw a Twitter thing. We're going to cut this out, saying R.I.P. Rush Limbaugh as a joke. And it was like, I thought it was real. And I was like, oh, I
rejoicing.
hope you died. That'd be great. But
that would be
it was
amazing.
I was fooled.
So overcome with feelings of fraudulent acceptance of his National Medal of Honor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. What do we got today?
I don't know.
All right.
A lot. It's kind of cold outside, which is dumb because in Texas,
Yeah.
we had all 4 seasons here, which is in
All
Houston.
4 this week.
All 4 this week. Like it was like 40 degrees this morning. It was 70 degrees this afternoon.
Yes.
40 degrees again. And then it's going to be all over the place this weekend.
And it was raining all last weekend, or
Yeah.
all the previous days of the week. This was the first day I've seen sun.
Yeah.
I went on a trip. We don't have this topic, but I went on a trip this weekend, and I packed my sunglasses, and I didn't need them till today. And then I was like, oh, I need my sunglasses. They were in my jacket pocket or something.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is that it's hard to like, what do you wear? Because unless you're just, I guess you could get like the mink hat like George had, like bottles in all the heat.
Yeah,
and then you just take it off. Because I hate having a jacket with me that I have to take care of.
Oh, I like it. That's
when
why we have
it gets
cars.
hot.
We leave in the car.
No, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll discuss later why that has now become quite the issue. Leaving things in my car.
Oh no.
Soon we will talk about this. Anyways, hello,
Hello, Chris.
Kevin.
Yes, that's my name.
Yeah. Welcome to another episode of New for 96.
Oh God, I would have forgotten.
That was not. Yeah,
It was good.
that was okay.
It was better than usual. Usually you go
I should make
very
like
monotone, down low
a
to
fart sound for 4 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Folks, I edit that out every time.
nope. This is what the whoopee cushion is for. Why did I buy this?
Oh. Joke's on me. It was silent but deadly.
Yeah. But unfortunately, what with my new diet and I've lost all this weight, I can barely activate it. Anyways, cut that out.
Sure. No.
Fine.
I only cut out things that make me look bad.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah. Which is why I get 4 words in on every show once they're edited.
No, this is the dumb thing is that like I don't want to lose weight because I have been skinny and ever since I started running again and working out in the attempt of hopefully gaining good weight, I have been losing more weight. And so it's very unideal because my pants that were already that were fitting fine are now looser, and I have to buy prescription pants because
I was going to say, I thought in those children's sizes, they're just elastic.
Yeah. Well, that's
that not the
infant
case?
sizes, but
Okay.
yeah. So as we all know, I'm trying to get down to my birth weight.
Yeah.
So 6 pounds, 6 ounces. I was a small baby.
Yeah. And also satanic.
Well, yeah.
6 pounds, 6 ounces, milliliters.
Yeah, what's your baby there? 6 milliliters? Oh no. Anyways, shall we get to the topic of cars?
Yeah.
I guess.
First topic I have is GTR.
Mm-hmm.
I drove a GTR last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a 2020. It was my friend at the Chronicle.
Tim Spell?
No, not him. But Jeff Yip had
Okay.
it, and so we shot it.
Can you believe how different it looks from the 2009 GTR?
It's like can't even.
Amazing.
Actually, one of the things I wrote was that like the first one had 480 horsepower.
Yeah.
And this one has 600.
Yeah.
And like I don't know if you could feel a difference. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if a person could feel a difference because the old one was really fast.
Yeah.
It was very brutal.
It's one of those things, right? It's just this usable power thing where you could add 1,000 horsepower to it, and although that'd be kind of interesting, 1,000 horsepower GTR.
Well, there's a lot of Texas mile cars, and that's the whole premise.
Yeah.
So if you find those interesting, there's a whole thing for you. I don't know. I wouldn't
Well,
know 'cause
I meant
don't care.
sorted out,
I
and
don't
not. Anyways,
Yeah. So I don't need to go into a car review, but I just had like some thoughts on like the bigger picture of this car because there's a lot of preconceptions about it. The last one I drove was like in 2013, I think. So this feels pretty similar, but it's been a while since I've driven one.
yeah. So the third generation.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. In Viper speak, they've had 6 generations of GTR.
Yeah.
R35, I mean. But it's interesting because like if you subscribe to the theory that supercars ruined everything, is in that this one kind of I don't think the GTR is bad. I don't think it's a force for evil, but I do think it ushered in an era of bad sports cars. And I think that currently we live in an age where everything is turbocharged, all-wheel drive, paddle shift, lap time at no expense.
Yeah.
And I feel like the GTR is responsible for that.
Yeah. I would say that yes, it was.
Yeah, and it's just it's funny. And so the GTR has a reputation of being this numb video game car that like drives itself, which is hilariously I've never found it to be the case, but now we are in 2020, and I think this label is in a twist not unlike the Fraser's reproduction lazy boy chair becoming the most expensive piece of furniture in the house. In 2020, the hydraulic steering assisted Nissan GTR has better steering feel.
Obscure reference.
Better steering feel than most new performance cars in the market.
Okay.
And that's a fact.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Because
it's from an era of yore.
Yeah. So I mean, like it's. I don't know. Even like the 991 GT3, it's a totally different in every way. But you can tell it was developed in this post GTR mindset.
Yeah.
The GTR. So the things I noticed were the ride is very brutal, bad, like very harsh.
As it's kind of always been, right?
I don't know if it was always as bad, but it like I don't know. Maybe I didn't drive it as much in the real world, but. I don't know. I think it comes down to a bigger picture of how you strike the balance of performance and comfort and usability.
Yeah.
And I have some very scattered notes here, but I do think I think everyone reacted to the GTR. I think it was this watershed moment, and everyone reacted to it in a different way.
Yeah.
And Porsche obviously. Also, with the benefit of rear engine or anyone with mid engine, kind of could get the same ride and compression and everything and suspension things they were wanting to achieve without making it quite as harsh as the front engine cars, like the GTR. But I think BMW, I think if you could point to the GTR as the time when BMW stopped being appealing to people, is when they struck this wrong balance of performance and comfort,
right.
Right around the time after the GTR.
Yeah. So where they gave up driving feel for numbers, basically.
Yeah. So I think the GTR kind of plotted this course for one driving experience that everyone followed, or a lot of people followed.
Yeah.
And I guess that's...
So here's a question for you.
Yes.
While you were talking and I wasn't listening, what do you think is the lowest price that you can get a GTR and R35 for today?
I'm going to say $115,000.
$1,000?
Yes. Oh, wait, you mean used?
Used, yeah.
Oh, yeah, used.
Oh, yeah,
no,
course.
I actually looked this up recently. I'm going to say like $37,000 or $40,000.
Okay, you are right on the money. For $40,000 right now, the cheapest car, at least looking on BRZO, is $40,000 for a car with 50... Oh, and this is salvage. Sorry. Let's be more realistic. Anyways, it is about $40,000 to $50,000.
Yeah,
is the range in which you can get
but
one now.
I totally like the GTR. I wish the entire industry didn't follow the course it set, but it shows a very profound car that it is a very impactful car that it set this way.
I agree. I gotta say though, just for 1 second, revisiting just kind of that as a value. I know that while it is the same car, it is also not the same car.
Yeah.
The fact that you can get a 2009 GTR they came out at what, $70,000 ish?
Yeah, 70, 80.
Meaning that 11 years later, you can get one for about $50,000. That's not a lot of depreciation.
No, it is not.
That's pretty good.
That's crazy.
Think about the 911 of the same era where, it was a little bit more, like say 80,
90, yeah.
$85,000, $90,000. That same car now would be about
35, 40.
35, 40. Yeah, if that. So that's not bad.
Not
honestly, like, I hadn't thought about that before, and that's a pretty astonishing kind of fact, even though they produce those in lower numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And the catastrophic failure point for those is the transmission, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they sorted it or if that was just on early ones or what. Like, I don't know if I haven't looked into it. I don't know if there's enough data. It was very publicized in the early ones, but people were launch controlling and doing bad things.
Yeah, launching them, much like a lot of other powerful supercars that just were not meant for, I guess, that one trick party thing where if you launched it in first gear, you would just launch the transmission.
Yeah.
But anyways, go on.
Did you say launch the transmission?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Launch and lunch, they sound very
Launch
similar.
and lunch. Lunch it. You're eating it.
Okay, well, this will help me for the closed captioning.
Please. Yeah. Yeah.
When I type those.
Yeah. But
well,
yes. Okay. Interesting. What did you get to? Did you get to drive it spiritedly?
Yeah,
hard?
I drove it spiritedly. I didn't want to scare my friend too much or anything. It'd be like too
the car
much
that you're supposed to be driving in theory.
I didn't want to be too much of a just jackass. But I mean, you could definitely. The power is incredible. Like if you're, I don't know, the power was there. Yeah. The braking is very good. The steering is very direct and very flat, and it feels, but it's still like that ride quality is so not ideal
because it is purpose built. I mean, I kind of wonder if like a GT, like what would you say like difference between that and a GT3? You've driven a GT3.
Yeah, the GT3 the ride is
a little more
better.
Compliant.
So it was a little more compliant, and I think when you don't have the engine in the front, you can make those for lack of a better word, compromises without having any real compromise.
Yeah. So
but it is extremely direct and pointy for a car with weight over the front axle, like to turn and have that kind of turn in is the immediacy is crazy, and it's really awesome.
So and that's a car that literally has like neck snapping acceleration.
Yeah.
Okay, compare that with because I've not driven a GTR, like with an electric car, like a 100D or something. Mm-hmm. Have you driven a performance model Tesla?
I've driven like the 95D.
Okay. Did you get to mash it in Ludicrous?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it had Ludicrous. I don't know. I've
Oh,
not
was this the
driven-
one that in Portland or that
Yeah.
you and Daniel drove? Okay. Okay.
Maybe it was a 90D. I don't remember.
I'm kind of curious about like I mean I think that the Tesla would still probably feel
Yeah.
a little bit more violent off the line, but I wonder how close the GTR gets. Just because that is what it's known for, and I armchair opinion here like would say that is probably one of the more I don't know now actually with kind of today's offerings, but like would be one of the more similar experiences, I guess, to not instant torque, but like near instant torque.
Right.
So I'm kind of curious about that, but neither of us can answer. So there we go. Off to the next.
Yes.
All right.
What
What's
was
up?
next? Oh, it's we've got.
Way to be prepared, Roz.
I was on switching tabs here. Your wagon. We had 4 topics. How hard is it to remember?
Hard to say.
2 are
Hey,
about you. How hard is it to remember?
my wagon, my beloved wagon.
Yes.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
So, no, it's still alive. More than well alive. In fact, it's in the best shape that it's ever been in its life. Because it is soon to be listed on Bring a Trailer. And this is kind of a.
How soon? We don't know.
Actually, I got the email today, the
What?
correspondence today, that basically the follow-up questions. And the follow-up questions were things that I had already answered, but neither here nor there. So
How mad are you going to be? Because okay, so for some background,
yes,
so Chris made in our workflow task software
sure. Project management software.
yes, whatever.
This is our friendship. We manage our friendship through project management software.
Yeah, so you had a whole project of E91 listing, and
Yes.
you had an entire biography of this car
I have
written.
the car storyboarded out.
You wrote like in the template of
Yeah.
the very best Bring a Trailer descriptions, you had a description of this car using
Yeah.
their style terminology and everything. How much of a bummer will it be when theirs is worse written than the one that you literally provided them?
I don't know. So when I emailed them, I said, I apologize in advance if this is like stepping over bounds because I realized that there was no way I was going to rewrite this thing in the first person because I wrote it in the third person.
Yes.
Because the only way I could think about it was because of through the thousands of bad auctions I have sifted through.
Yeah.
So I wrote it to third person, and I got to a point where I was like, oh well, there's no turning back now. I'm not gonna go back and change all the pronouns and like figure it all out. Like that's just so dumb.
So you were at paragraph 24, and you're like, got to keep going.
Yep, got to keep going. So it is thorough. It is very thorough. But so here's maybe some would say this is neurotic. I just say it is being comprehensive.
Sure.
I went through a large amount of bad auctions and amalgamated the language that was most ideal from all those auctions, and then
Question.
I wrote it like that. Yeah.
Are you a bot?
It's hard to say.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to say. So I don't know. I had too much time to think about it, and here we are. The listing that I completed, or I'm sorry, that I sent in. So you fill out the questionnaire, and the initial questionnaire is it's very cursory, and so because I think that there's intended to be a lot of correspondence with you and the auction representative, and that's how they develop the story that they put up on the auction. There's a lot of dialogue between there's intended to be a lot of dialogue between you and the auction representative, and so I think that I kind of jumped the gun a little bit on this, and so there are basically like 8 questions. They're very broad.
So where did you submit your giant paragraph?
So I submitted my 3,000 word thing
into the additional comments?
into the other.
Oh my god!
box.
Yeah, because you had prepared you had prepared this entire like biography of the car, like I said, and then you are faced with a 6-part questionnaire, 8-part questions, and it's like, how do you shoehorn what you've written into those?
It was very broad. It was just like,
So what did they ask that you had already answered? Do you remember?
It was just about like, you should submit some additional photos for this, and I would respond like, just checking to see if maybe the upload did make through, but photo like 298. I do have that in there. No, there are only 115.
Okay.
Which actually is not that much.
That's not that much.
Yeah, that's not that much. And I culled it down. I tried to create a photo. I tried to create a photo story. Sort of. There's just a lot of detail that you can add to it. Anyways, basically what I found out was that I did way more work than was necessary, at least ahead of time, because apparently the process is that they want to discover these things. It's an interview basically, and I had already conducted the interview with myself ahead of time. So, anyways, but the photos are great, thanks to you. I did some additional maintenance to the car.
Tell us about that.
Why I sound so dejected is not because the car needed things, but rather I just decided to go ahead and knock out like things preventatively, and it went from I think I will just get the car detailed, paint corrected, polished, to I guess I'll just change out this 4-figure like procedure, or do this 4-figure procedure that honestly didn't need to be done for an extremely long time, but I figured that would at least instill confidence in the buyer that this car was well maintained, which it is, and especially now, and then some. So it is, I think, honestly, and I'm not even hamming it up just for the auction, but I think it is the most well-maintained E90 series car that is not an M3, and maybe even an M3 up to this point, because I have just taken care of just about any needs that the car has at this point. It's dumb.
So much so that it made you never want another one of these.
For now, yeah. I actually do like these cars, but like the thought was that I was going to get I was going to sell the manual rear-wheel drive car for a premium amount, because that is how it's valued in the market, and then I was going to buy an automatic all-wheel drive version because those are the least desired ones.
Yeah.
And it would provide a similar driving experience. Obviously, auto does not equal manual, but it's a 328i does kind of feel very normal, and to me, it did make a difference. So I was going to do that, but the thought of having to put in maybe the same amount of maintenance, like meaning I don't think I'm going to find another seller that is like me,
right?
A dumb idiot who is going to put too much money into a car just for the sake of knocking out a checklist. So I have nixed that idea.
Yeah.
So I went in search of a different kind of car, and we can talk about that.
Yeah, we can in exactly one topic.
Yeah. So Kevin would like to interlude with.
You interluded yourself.
I did, but anyways.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey Kevin.
Did you hear about Luft 7?
I did.
Yeah. So just as I predicted, I heard you heard it first on the show. I said it would definitely be in Durham, North Carolina.
It was so specific. I was so surprised.
Yeah.
That you actually guessed that.
I said it would definitely be in Brooklyn.
Yeah, and
I was very wrong.
That was a little too on the nose.
Yeah.
Apparently.
So they reacted and they put it in Durham, North Carolina, where I lived as a child for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And I've never been back. So I'm definitely gonna go, and I'm excited for it. And I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Why do you think they're doing this?
Honestly, part of it I think is that New York is so on the nose. Like, if they were not going to do it in LA, they were going to do it on the East Coast because I think Midwest is a little too difficult.
Well, they already said East Coast.
Yeah, so they already said East Coast, but I mean, like in the decision to do East Coast, and then on the East Coast, I'm sure they considered New York area, but I bet you they thought too on the nose. Like, let's be creative, and so they crossed out highlight cities: DC, Philadelphia, nah. And so, why not the Deep South?
Yeah, I mean, I think they want it to be a smaller event again, and this is a way to do that because there's not as many people are going to travel.
Maybe so you've mentioned that in our discussions before, but I'm going to counter you on that and say that I think there's probably going to be a similar attendance just because in, let's say, California, there's a concentration, and the distance between San Francisco to LA, say for instance, is very similar to New York to South Carolina. It's 100 miles more, and I feel like that's not a...
It's North Carolina, by the way.
Okay, fine. It's one of the Carolinas.
Okay.
So I think that's a negligible difference, and I think there are going to be people from Florida, and I think there's a big contingency in Florida. It's those are people who would not have come up or would have gone to
but
LA Louvre.
I think that there's...
Or at least showed...
I think there might be people that will bring their cars from these far-flung states, but I think there'll be fewer spectators.
Pause. Here's the thing, too, is that maybe that's why they made it a 3-day event. So, and maybe we don't know if we're interpreting the schedule incorrectly. So
we don't know if we're invited to all 3 days.
Yeah. So here's the thing: the schedule, as it's stated in the one communication they've released, it apparently spans 3 days. So Friday through Sunday.
Yes.
So what that constitutes, we don't quite know yet.
No.
So maybe you're right in that there isn't enough of a contingency to go for 1 day, but across 3 days, it gives people an opportunity to trickle in and out. So I don't know at the same volume, etc. But so that's kind of it's a very different. It feels like it's going to be a very different show.
Well, at the last at the previous events, there was Louvre at Peterson.
Oh yeah,
there was different little parties and stuff, and they were all far flung across town, across LA, which is terrible to get across. So maybe this can be more, I'm saying it's inclusive and exclusive, but maybe it's more like if you're there, there's more things, more centralized things across 3 days.
Possibly,
like this party and that party and this thing and this thing.
Yeah.
That's my speculation. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you remember at the last Louvre, you gave me your parking pass?
Yes.
And because you'd gone to the show early because you were working, and this was at Universal Studios, and so it's very confusing trying to park at Universal Studios because there was one entrance that was the general entrance where everyone was going into, and there were lines and there were shuttles to get into the show. Like to get to Louvre, you had to park remotely, get it onto a shuttle, and truck in. And you gave me a pass, and I think the guard had misunderstood because I pulled up, and they're like, "Oh, no, you got to go to the other side, like literally the complete other side of the studio, which was like 4 miles away, basically."
Yeah.
That's where the show was, and so I drove to the other side. I was showing them this pass, and for some reason they couldn't interpret it right. They were like, they know it's legitimate, but they don't know where I'm supposed to go.
Yeah.
And so they kept like ushering me from one post to another, and each person kept ushering me forward closer and closer until eventually I was driving onto where I think basically where talent parks. And so one guy said, "Okay, you're going to park here because this is as close as you're going to get." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so I parked the car
200 feet from the show.
Here's the thing. There was no one else. There was like a handful of other cars there. And then I walked through a bunch of live sets.
Yeah.
I saw Jason Statham filming a thing. There was like another movie things. Basically, within 5 minutes, I was in Luft, like,
Yes.
and where it took like people half an hour to get there by shuttle.
Yeah.
They had somehow like kept ushering me until I could go no further, meaning that I would have to drive into the show.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you for somehow having an unintelligible parking pass that allowed me to park so close that you know me though. I like good parking.
I know.
I really don't.
It's the thing you value most.
Like to walk if I don't have to.
Yes.
So, anyways.
So,
yeah.
Speaking of good parking, now you have a vehicle you can park right up on the curb.
Yeah.
Right up on the grass.
Yeah. I bought a 2006 Canyonero.
Yeah.
So here's the thing.
Okay.
So the wagon was being sold to get a more engaging daily.
So we failed at getting daily drivers all these times.
Yeah, we're really bad at choosing daily drivers. Here's the thing. So because we've gone through a few, and it's not that they're bad cars. It's that for you, it might be a different situation for sure. But basically, you could have kept that car, but they weren't the right cars for us.
Right.
And so
it was their shortcomings, not ours.
It's true.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I'm still on the lookout for a 997, but I'm gonna now kind of stretch that search out because I bought another car that is going to take place as like the true daily driver.
This is one, and this is a big thing.
Yeah,
you could theoretically park on the street. You can actually park on the street.
I can park this thing on the street. I don't have to worry about people hitting it because if they hit me, it will damage their car before it damages this car. So here's the thing. I don't remember how I fell into this rabbit hole, but one day I started looking into Land Cruisers.
Yes.
Thinking I live in the urban core. It is extremely bad roads here, and our streets flood because we live in Houston, and I live in a neighborhood with 100-year-old drainage, so it guarantees it floods every summer. So I started going down that road. In Land Cruisers, I was looking specifically at first 80 series, so the 90s Land Cruisers, but it was just too old. Like I just wouldn't be comfortable. So I started looking at 100 series Land Cruisers. And like they're kind of popular, so a good low mileage Land Cruiser in my kind of like ideal search situation, low miles, blah blah blah, maintenance records, etc. It started getting up there in price a little bit, and I kind of had a budget in mind for like a essentially not disposable, but like something that I could use up a little bit. So my mind started wandering towards LX470s because somehow they are the same car but less desirable. So
why is that?
In theory, it's like a little bit more complicated because it has a little bit.
Go into what makes it more complicated.
Because it has automatic height control, which means that it uses a hydraulic suspension system that can lower and raise the car.
And you say, mind them, I prefer them.
I prefer them, even though I complained oft about the air suspension in the Celsior and how expensive that is to maintain.
So what components will you have to stockpile for this?
I will perhaps... actually, I don't have to stockpile anything because all the parts are available, unlike the Celsior.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so... it's a hydraulic system, kind of like Citroen's. So it uses these globes, these accumulators that collect the hydraulic fluid, and that's what raises and lowers the car. So it's actually a pretty simple and kind of robust system. And what gave me... Okay, so rewind the tape a little bit. I'm looking for LX470s. I'm looking for cars that are about 100 to 130,000 miles. That for me is the sweet spot.
Yes.
Maintenance has been done usually at that point. I kind of like the idea of a slightly higher mileage car, especially like where the legacy this car's legacy is that of a high mileage durable car. And it's just modern enough. So I was initially looking at the pre-LCIs, the pre-2002, so 98 to 2002, because those are the best deals. And what's amazing about these cars is that the original owners will bring it to the dealership well into the hundreds of thousands of miles. And they will just keep them maintained per the schedule to a T. The Lexuses, not necessarily the Land Cruisers. So that encouraged me further because the typical Lexus LX owner was just more fastidious. The car says we need to go in, we go in. It's not like, oh, I'll defer this, or I'll just take it to my shade tree mechanic, or if you're a shade tree mechanic, or you take it to your local corner shop. This was like, so what was amazing about this, not that your third-party mechanic is less competent than the dealer, it's that if the car doesn't come with maintenance records, it's all logged in Toyota's dealership service system that anyone can access. So for your IS Sport Cross, you can look up all the dealer records up until when it was stopped being serviced at the dealer at 1 mile.
Yeah. No, I told you it stopped at 2009.
Yeah. At how many miles?
I don't remember.
Okay. But there comes a point too where it doesn't matter anymore. Like you've just reset everything's come back around to as far as maintenance. Okay, so fast forward. I was looking across the country, so I was willing to open it up to across the country, much like any other car that I was looking for.
I don't know if you were that willing to look across the
country. I was, because I found a good one in Georgia. I found a green one, not the green that you were making fun of me for.
I would make fun of it. Yeah, there was.
It was like more of a gray green, and I was kind of with the idea of having yet another gray green car.
Yeah.
And anyway,
okay, I was making fun of you about the green because you said, "Look, this is green. It's cool. Like green's good. It's great." And I was like, "No, it's not."
Minus 3 of those. I just said, "Hey, look, green." That's all I said.
Yeah. Well, that was
you
too
never
much.
see them. You never see them.
You do. That's the point.
Not in the LX.
In every '90s SUV, they were all
that
this,
doesn't
like
count.
Middle green.
It doesn't count.
And I sent you pictures of like shitty count. Blazers, shitty Explorers,
and I sent you back like other SUVs look great in the same green.
Yeah, but those were like exotic ones.
They weren't exotic. It was
a G-Wagon from the '80s is exotic.
No, a Range Rover of the '90s.
Okay.
I sent you a Bronco.
Every
Eddie
90s
Bauer.
SUV came in that green.
But it doesn't matter. Like every car came in every color. So it looked good in the LX.
Green is interesting on a sports car, but it's
doesn't
not
matter.
interesting on a '90s SUV.
I didn't buy a green car.
Yeah, well, because of me.
It was not because of you. I would have bought that.
No.
I would have bought that. It doesn't matter.
There
So
was a voice in your head.
Here's the thing.
With my voice.
Ever since I started looking, I came across one at a local dealership here in town. It was an LX. It was a LCI. It was an LCI. So it was a 2000. It was a 2006. So Land Cruisers have essentially 3 series for this generation. So there's the early ones, the 98, 2003, 2002, and then 2003 to 2004, and then 2005, and then 2006 to 2007. I'm stumbling here a little bit. So each one of those marks like just kind of like improvements in the car. So I was settled on getting the first of the series. So a 98 to 2002. Those were the cheapest ones. I then started looking, I'd love the updated interior. I started looking at 2003 pluses. And then I came across a 2006. So last of the 2 years, best of the 2 years, because it has VVTi, so it has 35 more horsepower. It has updated electronics, infotainment technology as could be for 2006.
Which you said is
very rudimentary.
But you said all of the climate is handled through this.
Yeah, but that's true for
300 by 200 screen.
nearly.
Pixels.
Yeah, yes. Because navigation came standard, so all the climate control functions through the touch screen, which means that if it goes out, which apparently in certain years it goes out, and it is currently a used screen is $1,000. You can.
Is it not interchangeable with another Lexus or Toyota?
No, unless you're handy with a soldering iron.
Oh gosh.
No. So, anyways, but apparently it was limited to 1 or 2 years. So my year is free of that, but my year has another mode of catastrophe. Oh, so I'm skipping ahead here. My year, meaning that yes, I bought a car.
You said that.
Yeah, I bought a 2006 LX 470. It has 230,000 miles on it.
That's a lot of miles.
Actually, I kind of dig that it has that many miles on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically 100,000 more miles than I was looking for, but I was able to get the dealership down on the price because I just wanted to go and test drive it, see what one of these were like. I ended up kind of liking it because it was in better condition than as advertised, and it was one of those dealerships where you're certain that it's going to be worse when you arrive. But when I got there, it was surprisingly really clean, very few aesthetic needs. I'd already gone and looked up the maintenance records, and up until about 40,000 miles ago, it had, and relatively speaking, that's not that long ago because this has 230,000 miles on it. It had all the good maintenance on it, all cap, good maintenance on it. So timing belt, water pump, this and that. So I was pretty confident in this car. I got it PPI'd. It was pretty much good to go. It had, like some things like the headlights were severely badly faded. So I bought a new pair, which were not inexpensive, but I think worthwhile. And I'm kind of looking forward to this.
Yeah.
It does get 0 City 1 highway. And that's probably not too far off because when I was just kind of puttering around town the other day, test driving in a 10-mile loop, basically, I did get about 6 miles per gallon. But
okay,
I'm sure it will get better. Right now, because I've only had it for a day, I already went in. I dropped it off at a Lexus mechanic, even though you could drop it off at a Toyota mechanic. I dropped it off at this Lexus mechanic that I bought. I brought the Celsior too at one point in time because I thought surely they will be able to work on a 1992 LS400. And
you were not that impressed with them then.
I wasn't impressed with them then because they only work on newer Lexuses, and so I figured this qualified as a newer-ish Lexus. So I dropped it off, and they're going to do some baseline maintenance to it. So I think in theory, much like your goals with the IS 300 Sport Cross,
yes,
that once you do baseline maintenance on it, it'll be good to go. Unlike our European choices of the past.
Yes.
Where baseline maintenance is just for the first year.
Right.
If you're lucky.
Well, it's like the Golden Gate Bridge. You're always painting the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah.
And when you finish, you got to start back and keep painting. Like, there's always one part that needs painting.
Yep. So
that.
I wanted to buy the poster child for longevity and reliability.
Yes.
Parts are not cheap for this truck. I don't know if I want to call it a truck. It is technically a truck. It's body on frame. It's my first body on frame automobile. It's a torsion bar car, or it has torsion bars.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know where that squeak came from. But it's in theory going to be. I want to ride this thing out to like 500,000 miles, which took me a very long time because I don't add a lot of
4
miles.
lifetimes.
Okay,
you drive like 3,000 miles a decade.
Yeah. Especially spread across multiple cars. So yeah, also currently I have 4 cars, which is not intentional, and that's very nerve-wracking. And if I happen to find like that 997, I will accidentally have 5 cars, and that will
that'd be amazing.
Destroy me.
That'd be good content. Think of the content.
Oh my god, where will I even? I cannot park any of them right now. They're all
Just take them all in. You need service on all of them. They're all broken.
Yeah.
So just You could be parking none of them.
That's true. Yeah.
Like me.
Yep. So, so you and I, despite trying to escape us being too similar, I no longer wanted a wagon. So instead, I got a silver Lexus.
Yes.
And then I realized that you have a silver Lexus.
Yes.
And we've just returned to the same place.
Yeah.
We both now have hatched silver Lexuses. However, I would like to point out that your Lexus, much like my Lexus, are also rebadged Toyotas.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we have solidified ourselves as those people. So
you mean the A word?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You might want to explain that one.
Aspirational.
Oh no.
Yeah.
But I will say, I enjoy having two cars. For one, I have 16 cylinders of Toyota Fury.
Wow.
And I have not only that. So my LX470 is a Lexus badge, or it's a Toyota badge as a Lexus, and I have a Celsior, which is a Lexus badged as a Toyota.
Yeah.
So I like living in this little paradoxical world.
That's pretty great.
Yeah, there you have it. I don't know how it is that also you and I, automotive enthusiasts, we wanted to get cars, daily drivers, and we've tried. I've tried.
Yes.
I went, my last 2 or 3 or 4 daily drivers were automotive enthusiast choices. But
the Celsior was not.
No, it was not. That's a different choice, and that skirted over becoming my daily driver. I couldn't even use it because it was too nice and fragile. So here's the thing. Question.
Yes.
If you're an automotive enthusiast and you want to get a reliable, comfortable daily driver, and reliability is such a relative term, but let's just call it, don't need to do a whole lot of work on it, meaning you have other cars that you want to kind of focus on, what do you get? And here's the thing, I don't think you and I ever thought about it specifically, we should just get Toyotas. Like, that was never an intentional thought. It's kind of more like we did a whole lot of math, spent a lot of money, and came to a conclusion. Although, to be fair, I'm just realizing now that your previous daily driver was also a Toyota that was
It's fine.
not reliable and cost you a lot of money. But anyways, we somehow came to a rear-wheel drive hatchback wagon.
Yeah.
And a body-on-frame legendary V8 SUV that is known to go 1,000,000 miles. And while your car is more engaging to drive, it is a middle place between reliability and driving engagement, because it's probably, I'm going to go on a limb and say it's not as good as a, say, manual
E46.
BMW.
Right, yeah, I would probably agree.
Yeah. And my car by no means is engaging to drive as a sporty driving experience, but I do like knowing that I'm sitting on top of this like heritage and capability. So while I'm never gonna take it off road, although I like the idea of doing that because I want to modify it just very slightly. I do kind of love that it's this big, powerful V8 and it's this SUV that can kind of conquer all. Has a great 4-wheel drive system that again I may not ever use, but I'm enthusiastic about like the fact that it is not just a marketing exercise. It is like a substantial car.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know if I want to be one of those people who calls it a truck, even though it is technically a truck. Should I get a truck license plate for it?
No.
Okay.
I feel like
Muse.
we have this. If we do have one area of expertise, it is like focusing on cars.
Yeah.
And knowing about cars. So it's like we should be able to buy cars that have very little consequences financially and reliability wise, which so far proven to be untrue for both of us.
Yep.
But it does seem like if say you're out of school and you have a fixed budget and it's like, I need a car. Like, should I get a new Corolla or something older and more interesting?
Yeah.
I feel like we are the people who, because we fixate on this stupid BS so much, we could be the people that say, no, like, we are going to get something older and more interesting, and the consequences will still come out ahead because this is our area of expertise.
Yeah.
All of this stupid research and reading stupid BS like should hopefully mean something.
Yeah.
And hopefully over time this will be like, oh, these were good choices.
Yeah.
These were cost-effective choices that resulted in high enjoyment for, let's map this out over a long enough time, low cost.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we're both in for some amount of money for these cars.
Yes, this is true.
Yes.
It is true because, I mean, like if you're gonna buy any old car, it's gonna need stuff. But
we talked about this. When I was buying a car, I was hoping like, I want this to be. I mean, I knew this specific one would not be the one, but I was hoping, ideally, in any previous time, what if I had bought like an FX35? It's like, what if I could just buy a car and not have to put any money into it for a year? How insane that would be.
It would be impossible unless you buy an expensive version.
Right.
That was already made. If you were to buy a car, say for instance, from me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, but then once I got this car, I was like, I want to put money into it. I want to make it better.
I know. And that's what's happening.
And because I'm the eternal optimist, it's like I'm one fix
and you
away
were
from
forced to.
I'm one fix away from it being perfect.
Which isn't that like my theory is that there's no such thing as a car that costs less than $10,000 if you want it to be a good car.
Yeah, probably true.
Because you could buy a $5,000 car, but eventually the maintenance is going to catch up to you. I mean, it depends obviously on the car. I mean, if you buy a $5,000 Corolla, that's probably going to go pretty far. But a $5,000 IS, you might build up some needs. It's going to get you pretty close to that.
$10,000 IS.
Yeah. So, and it's kind of the same thing with this LX. I bought it at a certain price where I was comfortable putting in some extra money to solidify it. And so, I'm at this point, I think I'm going to come out like just slightly ahead in terms of the value once I put the money in to fix it. But again, it's not like I've only had it for a day and I've already sent it off to get tightened up. So I don't know what it's like to just buy a car and start driving it and be done with it. So yeah, that is our that's just kind of our curse. That's the affliction of what it is and who it is that we are. So what can you do?
What can we do? I think that is a podcast, as you might say.
So thanks for listening to two automotive enthusiasts who have ultimately chosen as their daily drivers two Lexuses.
No shame in that.
No shame, apparently. I will say, as a last note, that Lexus, I would say Toyota/Lexus has come back around from the image of staid, boring, and this is not a bias thing because we've chosen these cars personally, but I think that, I mean, one, I think as a brand, Toyota can provide for an engaging experience in their cars, and I think in the car that you chose, that's intentional, and I think in the car that I chose, a different kind of engagement, but this is the sensible automotive enthusiast choices.
Yes.
I think
so.
Theory.
We'll see.
Anyways.
Time will tell.
You'll hear about it on a future episode.
Yes. Of
New for 96.
Wow, we never do an ending one. Oh my God.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, all. Do follow us on social media. Instagram at New for 96.
Twitter at New for 96.
Yeah.
And email at New for 96. It's spelled out or something. But just hit us on Twitter or Instagram.
Yeah. At Gmail, you should add. At AOL.net.
Biz. Okay.
All right. Thanks
Bye.
for listening. Bye.